They expect me to begin with ancient wisdom or mysterious secrets. But I'll tell you something different. Yesterday, I watched a child try to catch water in his fists. The harder he squeezed, the faster it slipped away. Unknowingly, he held a truth about power that most masters never grasp. I've spent years watching men shatter their hands against wooden boards, mistaking destruction for strength. I did the same. Broke what they asked me to break, won the fights, chased sharper kicks, harder punches. The world saw a master. I felt nothing. Here's the truth no one tells you about mastery. The moment you believe you've attained it is the moment it abandons you. I didn't learn this in a temple or a dojo. I learned it at my peak, when I was certain I had nothing left to learn. Let me tell you about that day. But first, understand, this isn't just about martial arts. It's about the lie we cling to, about power, about victory, about what it really means to be strong. A lie I believed, until it almost cost me everything. The illusion of power. At 16, I walked into Master Yip Man's school, swollen with pride. Back alleys of Hong Kong had taught me strength, or so I thought. That day, I learned the difference between fighting and knowing. I hit the floor again and again, defeated not by force, but by something invisible. The others called me gifted. What they didn't see? The midnight hours, my fists slamming into buckets of water until the surface turned red. I worshipped pain like a religion, mistaking suffering for progress. The world had a simple equation for power: break more, win more, fear more. So I became what they wanted: faster, sharper, ruthless. In America, they branded me the Oriental warrior, the human weapon. Magazines glorified my speed. Students begged for my secrets. But here's the truth they never printed. The stronger I grew, the more I became like that water, trapped in the shape of someone else's container. Every trophy was a cage. Every roar of the crowd tightened the lock. I wasn't a warrior. I was a prisoner. And the only one holding the keys was the man I'd left behind in that Hong Kong school, face down on the floor, still blind to what real strength looked like. The poison of perfection. I saw it in their eyes, the same hunger that once burned in mine. Not for mastery, but for validation. Not for skill, but for scars they could show off like trophies. They came to me craving destruction. But destruction was never the answer. Dissolution was. I learned this the hard way, chasing power until it left me hollow, until I hit a wall I couldn't kick through. That's when the real training began. Not in throwing punches, but in unthrowing every assumption I'd ever worshipped. And it all started with a question that split my life in two. What if my greatest victories were just obstacles in disguise? The wall of victories. I didn't just win fights, I collected them. Each victory was another brick, another layer in the fortress I built to keep out doubt, weakness, anything that smelled of failure. My life became a ledger. Morning. Who needed impressing today? Night. How could I be even more untouchable tomorrow? They called me the fastest fist in the East, so I couldn't just win. I had to erase the possibility of losing. They named me the Dragon, so I had to vanish the man beneath the myth. 100 demonstrations, 100 flawless performances, no errors, no excuses, just the slow suffocation of perfection. Then it happened. The moment I stopped being a fighter and became a symbol. Magazine covers declared me Kung Fu's ambassador to the West. Every punch I threw now carried the weight of centuries. Every match wasn't mine anymore. It was China's, history's. The wall I'd built? It wasn't protecting me anymore. It was burying me alive. The breaking point. In a private challenge match at my Oakland school, I faced a master of Northern Shaolin, skilled, respected, and dangerous. The kind of fight that once fueled my hunger for validation. He attacked with everything he had. I responded with technical perfection. Every move precise, every counter flawless. Victory was mine. The crowd erupted, students cheered, another triumph for the dragon. Yet, as I watched my opponent bow in defeat, something inside me cracked. The victory felt hollow, like biting into a perfect fruit and tasting only ash. That night, sleep never came. The revelation. That night, the training room smelled of wax and worn wood. A single candle flickered as I sat. Not to strategize my next triumph, but truly still for the first time in years. The flame didn't strain to shine brighter, didn't compete with the darkness. It simply existed, wholly itself. And there in its glow, I saw the truth. I had become a hall of mirrors, endless reflections of what others needed me to be, with no substance behind the glass. My fist shot forward instinctively. Same motion I'd drilled 10,000 times. But this punch carried no audience, no measurement, no hunger for validation. Just curiosity, the raw wonder of a boy discovering his own body for the first time. The realization tore through me. All these years, I'd been conquering opponents in the ring while being dominated by something far more dangerous in my mind. Every trophy was a shackle. Each standing ovation built higher walls. I'd perfected the art of performance, but at what cost? The most devastating truth wasn't that I might lose, but that after all this time, I'd forgotten how to simply exist without winning. The lesson of water. Alone in the stillness of my training room, the truth revealed itself. Mastery isn't measured in trophies, but in the courage to stop keeping score. All along, I'd been fighting the wrong battle. Water whispered wisdom my fists never could. It never clashes with the stone, yet carves valleys through mere persistence. It makes no boast of strength, yet wears down cliffs without apology. It holds no rigid shape, yet this very surrender makes it unstoppable. For years I'd forged myself into an unyielding weapon. But water? Water cannot be broken because it refuses to harden. It yields, it changes, it endures. Pour it into any vessel. It becomes the cup without ceasing to be water. This isn't compromise. This is power perfected. The birth of Jeet Kune Do. Realization meant nothing without revolution. I didn't just adjust my techniques. I burned down my entire philosophy of combat. This wasn't about inventing another martial art. This was about annihilating the illusion of style altogether. Jeet Kune Do, the way of the intercepting fist, was born not from addition, but from ruthless subtraction. I cut away. Every movement that prioritized tradition over truth. Every stance that looked impressive but failed in combat. Every technique preserved simply because this is how it's always been done. What remained? Only what worked. No dance, no decoration, no dead techniques performed for empty applause. Because real combat doesn't care about your lineage. It only cares if you can survive. The ultimate lesson. The dojo was never just about fighting. The mat was a mirror. Life doesn't meet you in stances. It comes at you like a street fight. And most people enter this battle like untrained fighters, muscles locked, breath held, wasting energy resisting what simply is. I see it everywhere. The CEO clinging to a failing strategy like a kata that's lost its meaning. The musician playing the same hit until his art becomes a cage, the parent measuring love through perfection, building a home on brittle foundations. We all face the same opponent, not circumstances, but our own refusal to flow. The elbow that bends is stronger than the arm that breaks. The reed that sways outlasts the oak that resists. True power isn't in never falling, but in how you yield to the fall. Be water, my friend. Ask yourself now, where is your grip too tight to feel the current? Where does your no drown out a wiser yes? When the urge to prove yourself rises like a fist, pause. Who declared this war in the first place? I learned this at home. The world demanded Dragon Bruce Lee, the flawless warrior. But my son Brandon needed a father who'd lose at checkers and laugh about it. My wife Linda married a man, not a myth. True adaptability isn't about switching masks. It's the courage to dissolve when love requires it. Water doesn't choose between river and rain. It simply becomes what the moment asks. The final truth. Now when the cameras roll, I leave Bruce Lee in the dressing room. When I teach, I bring only what the student needs, not what my legend demands. When challenges come, I don't brace against them like a wall, but greet them like water meeting shore. Here's the secret they never taught us. Real strength isn't in the clash, but in the space between action and reaction. True power doesn't shout its dominance. It whispers through effortless being. Mastery isn't about forcing outcomes, but removing the friction in your own mind. The ultimate victory. When you stop needing to prove you've won, the river doesn't fight the rocks. It simply finds its way. And so do I. Remember the child. We are all that child by the stream, fists clenched tight, believing strength lives in how hard we can hold on. My life's work taught me the opposite truth. Freedom begins when you release your grip. We enter this world as water, flowing, formless, fearless. Then the world freezes us into shapes we never chose. You must be this. You cannot do that. This is how it's always been. We mistake the ice for strength. We admire its sharp edges, its unyielding surface. But here's the paradox. Ice breaks. Water rebuilds. I built monuments to my skill, only to realize true mastery leaves no monuments, just movement. I chased perfection, only to discover power lives in perfect responsiveness. Now, when life demands strength, I don't harden. I deepen. When challenges come, I don't resist. I receive. Because water never struggles to become. It simply is. And in that being, finds its power. This is my message to you. Power is not something to grasp. It's something to release. Stop trying to be extraordinary. Start being real. Your battle isn't against life's challenges. Your war is with the part of you that sees them as enemies. This goes beyond fighting, beyond philosophy. Here's what my bones now know. True mastery isn't scaling mountains. It's dissolving the weight that makes them feel heavy. Not by pushing harder, but by standing lighter. Ask yourself tonight, what armor have you mistaken for strength? What rules have you confused with truth? Who would you be if success stopped being the score? This question rewrote my life. Let it rewrite yours. Be water, not for its power to erode stone, not for its force to shape continents. Be water for its quiet courage, to take the shape of the moment without losing its essence. That is how softness becomes unstoppable, how presence becomes power, how you become whole.